Happy holidays, everybody. It's Chris with Inside the U. Just got done watching 15 minutes during a viewing period at practice today. Today is the last day the Hurricanes are practicing here in Coral Gables. They're going to depart for Dallas tomorrow, have 2 practices, and then they got the game. So, you know, they started out inside, just a few observations. Again, not much to get into, but if they were inside, able to watch a little bit of some stretching, a little bit of some individual drills, and they do always start at practice inside and then they're outside. I can hear them right now. You can maybe hear the crowd noise piped in a little bit to try to get the team kind of as ready as possible for this environment. You know, as I think about this game against Ohio State, I think there could be a similarity to the Texas A&M game in terms of the battles up front. It was such a key part of that game. I think it will be for this one as well. You know, how will Miami's offensive line, with those veterans that they have up front, Francis Mauigoa, you know, Markel Bell at the tackle spots, how they'll fare against the pass rushing edges at Ohio State with what they have there. Then also interior-wise too, and as Cooper, James Brockemeyer, and then with what Miami has at left guard, they like that rotation, Matthew McCoy and Samson Okunlola getting in there. You know, I expect those 6 players to be the Miami's offensive line as it's been primarily for the whole season. So that'll be a big key. And then conversely, you know, Miami's defensive line, Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, when Armando Blunt is in there, how will those guys fare? Justin Scott up front, you know, these guys, David Blay, how will they fare against Ohio State offensive line? I think that'll be a big battle. That'll be really important. Miami's got to get pressure on Julian Sayin. You can't let him sit back and throw to those wideouts. You know, you've got to put pressure on him, and then we'll see what happens. That'll be certainly a big point. But again, both sides, you know, offensive line for both units, defensive line for both units. That'll be a big battle kind of to watch for, similar as it was against Texas A&M. You know, Mark Fletcher announced recently that he is going to come back for 2026 for his senior season. I found it a little bit interesting. It's certainly great news for Miami fans, but look, if Mark reels off 170-yard performances and Miami keeps winning in the playoffs, I would assume his draft stock is only going to rise. And so, but he said he's coming back, so we have to take that and certainly at what he said. So he's coming back. It's great for the team, just that leadership there, but it's certainly for the running game. It's a great place to start for an offense, certainly as they kind of reshape the offense for 2026 with so many key guys from this year's team. We'll go ahead and depart as seniors there as they get ready for the NFL draft. And look, you know, with Mark, Miami's been going running back by committee quite a bit throughout the season, but, you know, Mark got that bulk of the load, and I expect that to continue against Ohio State. Now, if he's struggling or not getting the yards that they would like, certainly there's other backs they can go to, but certainly I feel like, you know, Mark's going to get the bulk of the load there, and I think that's good. You know, one thing I want to mention too about today's practice, being out here, again, good seeing the guys have some energy. Again, didn't get to see a lot in terms of what they were able to do, but, you know, saw some stretching, dancing around, the music, typical stuff that we normally see. But one thing caught my eye, and that was Jackson Cantwell, Miami's top recruit that they signed here in the 2025 class. A consensus top 10 player was out here. And not just out here, in shoulder pads, in helmet. You know, he did have shorts on while the rest of the team was in their pants there, but good to see Jackson go through it. He's going through stretching. I assume he was going to continue going through the drills and all that. And you know, with the rules in place, you know, he's able to take in some practices and participate a little bit. So I think that's good. You know, and when I visited Jackson back in Missouri this fall, we talked about a lot of different things, and one of the things was certainly he was excited for this moment. He was excited, couldn't wait to get to campus, and he wanted to finish out his senior season strong at Nixa, certainly. And that was a big point of emphasis for him. But just, he was really ready for this next step and really wants to take everything in. He's a guy that wants to learn. I know how he is, just kind of talking to a lot of people, and he's going to soak everything in and put himself in the best position possible. And certainly the goal is to be an impact player next year in 2026. That is the goal for him. And, you know, that process essentially starts now as he's taking in practices, participating, seeing what it takes. And then, you know, I think it's great that he's going to be around this bowl environment, playoff environment, you know, and it's such a huge game, a huge moment for this university and this program. And then taking this and everything, building it for off-season workouts for a few months, and then they get into spring ball. So great to see him out here. So definitely stay tuned to the channel for that. But I want to express my appreciation for everybody tuning in this year. It's certainly a big year for the channel and everything, but really appreciate everybody continuing to show their support. It's an exciting time, especially right now. And again, happy holidays to everybody. Hopefully you're enjoying your time, but also too, I understand this is a difficult time for some people as well. You know, the holiday season, you know, again, there's some tough times, and hopefully everybody that's going through it can kind of pull through, kind of keep their head up, and just keep on moving. So I want to thank again everybody for your support. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a good rest of the day, and take care.